Aloha everyone, my name is Stacy. I am an environmental educator and a biologist with Hawaii Wildlife Fund, and I'm really excited that you decided to join us today on our virtual huaka'i where we are going to explore Anchialine Pools. Now don't worry, if you don't know what those are, it's all good. We're going to tell you what they are, we're going to tell you where you can find them, we're going to tell you all about what healthy ones look like versus what unhealthy ones look like. And then we're also going to talk about what you guys can do to help us protect them. So let's get started. First things first, we need to know what an Anchialine pool is. And I have my friend over at Hawaii State Parks, Miss Dina Cedar, who is going to help explain that to us. So take it away, Dina.
For those of you not familiar with Anchialine pools, it takes a special environment for them to exist. So we need a substrate of volcanic or limestone, and Hawaii Island has plenty of volcanic stone, obviously. So the way that Anchialine pools work is it'll rain up Mauka, so the fresh water will go through these underground cracks, and sometimes they'll spring up before they make it to the ocean. And you'll also have salt water coming in from the ocean, again through these underground cracks, and then they form together to make brackish water, and that is the habitat for the 8 Anchialine pool shrimp that are found in the Hawaiian Islands. So these are representations of 2 different ones. So you've got Opai'ula. Opai'ula translates to red shrimp. So opai is shrimp and ula is red. They are an endemic species, and they're the most common Anchialine pool shrimp found in Hawaii. The second most common, this is a nice little representation, is a Metapateus lohena. We're not familiar with a specific Hawaiian name for them, so oftentimes they're just referred to as metas. So opai'ula are about the size of a dime. They never get bigger than that, and the Metapateus lohena are usually about twice as big, and you can tell them apart because they have these really big pinchers, and they like to chase opai'ula around. They're not very good at catching them, but they like to chase them around. So another point that I want to make is that as you can see in the diagram, Anchialine pools don't have a surface connection to the ocean, but they rise and fall with the tides. So there's actually a lot of great trivia about Anchialine pools. Hawaii is the only state in the US that has Anchialine pools, and it takes a special environment for them to exist. And not only that, but here on Hawaii Island, we have the highest concentration of Anchialine pools in the entire world. We have over 600 of these pools, predominantly on the Kona and Kau coasts, because we're such a young island and there's so many subterranean cracks.
Now that we know what Anchialine pools are and where to find them, it's important to know that these ecosystems are seriously threatened by invasive species. Everyone should know and understand what invasive species are. These are non-native species that come into a place and outcompete the native species and does harm to the native ecosystem. Next, we're going to explore how invasive fish like tilapia and guppies and mollies invade Anchialine pool ecosystems and how they ultimately prevent them from hosting opai'ula, those endemic Anchialine pool shrimp. So let's learn why tilapia, for example, makes such good invaders.
Tilapia are invasive all over the world's tropical and subtropical areas, including Australia, North and Central America, Hawaii, and parts of Asia. They are a popular fish for aquaculture because they are easy to raise, but when they are released into a coastal ecosystem where they are not native, they can become a serious problem. Tilapia eat aquatic invertebrates and small fish, decomposing organic matter or detritus, plants, and plankton. Tilapia have been known to reproduce as young as 5 to 6 months old, producing up to 1,600 eggs per clutch. That means they can take over an entire pond very quickly. In Hawaii, tilapia are an invasive species. The Mozambique tilapia was introduced to Hawaii for weed control, fish bait, and food. Another tilapia species, the saltwater tilapia, was introduced to Hawaii as fish bait for tuna when it escaped from the lab. In Hawaii's coastal ecosystems, tilapia compete with native species for food and habitat. They eat native invertebrates and aquatic plants, and often change the bottom of natural ponds or pools they invade by digging and making their nests. When a coastal ecosystem is overrun by tilapia, the added fish excrement or fish poop can create excess nutrients in the water. This can change the entire ecosystem. Tilapia have a special ability to live in fresh and salt water, which make them a very successful invader. Please, Kokua, do your part. Learn to identify this invasive species and do not spread it in Hawaii's coastal ecosystems.
Now that we have a better understanding about Anchialine pools and invasive species, we are going to begin our huaka'i. Our journey is going to start out near South Point at the pools of Ho'onoua, and then we're going to jump over to the west side and we're going to visit the pools at Mahai'ula's in Kekaha Kai State Park. And then we're going to jump across the island to the east side and we're going to check out the pools at Richardson's Beach Park. Let's go! The first place we are going to explore are the pools at Ho'onoua. And Megan, my colleague at Hawaii Wildlife Fund, is going to take us through a quick tour of that place. Let's check it out. Welcome to Ho'onoua. Nestled on the southeast shores of Hawaii Island, there is the Anchialine Pool complex of Ho'onoua. The small set of pools is host to an array of native wildlife from aquatic species to insects to vegetation. We are now going to walk from the north pond to the south pond. Access to this place is only made with four-wheel drive, and we do not recommend visiting this place unless you are with someone who knows the area well, who can guide you safely. If you do ever get the privilege of visiting this place, please be mindful not to transport invasive species on your person, like your shoes or your clothes or your vehicle. As you can see in this video filmed by my colleague Megan and her fur babies, there is not much development here. In fact, this unique ecosystem is protected in the Waiʻōhinu Forest Reserve, which encompasses over 1,300 acres of coastal land. This is important because it means that this coastline and the Anchialine pools at Ho'onoua will never turn into condos, homes, hotels, or resorts, like many of the pools in West Hawaii. Since 2009, Hawaii Wildlife Fund and hundreds of volunteers have spent many hours removing invasive fish, tilapia, and invasive grass, seashore paspalum, from the two ponds at Ho'onoua. The southernmost pool, which we are walking to that you see coming into view right now, has a population of invasive tilapia and there are no opai ula present. In the northernmost pool, there is some invasive grass, but no fish, and a vibrant population of opai ula. This pond right here. Next, we're going to check out the pools at Mahai'ula's and see what's going on the west side of Hawaii Island.
Hi, my name is Dina Cedar and I'm the interpretive specialist for Hawaii State Parks. Right now we're in the Mahalo section of Kekaha Kai State Park on the island of Hawaii. So we are here at what we call the small pool at Mahai'ula. So this pool has actually been guppy free since May 2018. It was full of guppies just like the large pool. Now this pool is a great example of a healthy Anchialine pool ecosystem. So you see all this green, that's the algae that the opai ula eat. So basically a healthy Anchialine pool ecosystem is you've got algae on the rocks. The opai eat the algae, the sun makes more algae, and the opai keep eating it. So when you introduce something like guppies or tilapia in a pool, it totally changes the whole balance of the ecosystem. The fish will eat the algae, they make the water quality really bad, and the opai are driven into the underground cracks. And so what's so great about removing all the guppies is now our opai can swim free in this pool. Now, you might be concerned about this, this green stuff that's floating on the top of the pool. It's not harmful to the opai ula, and they actually, sometimes you can see they'll turn upside down and they'll eat it off the water surface. You can see that the water quality is still really clear, so this algae just sits right on top of it. So it's one of those things, it makes the pool look not very attractive, but it's not in any way harmful to the health of the Anchialine Pool ecosystem. Built in the 1970s. It's not a historic Hawaiian wall. It's not an archaeological site. So obviously when they built it, they probably built it at to contain a lower high tide. But as you can see, it kind of rises up through the sand during really high tide events. So this pool is an example of a restoration work that's almost done. So since June 2019, we have pulled out over 110,000 guppies from this pool alone, and you might be asking, why in the world did you guys count them? And that's so that no one else ever had to. Because guppies are extremely difficult to get rid of, and they have babies all the time, and so you have to be persistent about coming in and removing them. And we tried multiple different methods that if anyone is interested, please contact me and I can go over them with you. But right now we're doing some trapping. We're trying to get the last stragglers. On July 3rd of this year, I only caught 4 and I thought we were almost done. And then there's been a bit of a rebound of the population, but we've been doing it at least twice a week since July, and we're hoping that we are almost done with guppy removal. So, yes, we can. So, I don't know how well, you might not be able to see them at all, but if you can, these are more juveniles, so they're a lot smaller, so that's good. We're not, we haven't really been finding a lot of pregnant females, so we're hoping that we're breaking the reproduction cycle. This is known as a minnow trap, and we bait it with cat treats. So, put this back in for now. And so we're hoping that we can get rid of all the guppies as juveniles so that we don't have any more babies born in this pool. But I want to show you what's really exciting about this is we've been able to get the population of guppies down so low that we're starting to see opai ula in this pool again. So let me take you right over here, and my lovely camerawoman is going to, right there, is going to show you where some of our opai like to live.
I am here on the east side of Hawaii Island at Richardson's Beach Park. Now, Richardson's is really cool because it has Anchialine Pools. Did you know that? Have you been there before? Well, I'm gonna turn around here and you're gonna get out to see the view of this really cool Anchialine ecosystem. Now I'm gonna take you through and I want you to observe what you're seeing and see if you can spot some differences between the pools here and the pools at Mahalo's with Dina, or the pools at Honoua. Do you see a difference in vegetation? What kind of wildlife is in and around the pools? Those are the kinds of things I want you to think about. Now let's take a walk through and see what we can see. I'm standing on the mountain side of this beach park. The road is right here in front of me, and behind me is the ocean over there. So we're gonna take a walk to the ocean and check out what we see. Some of the things you may notice is that there was seashore paspalum, invasive grass growing in the pools. There was fish in all the pools around here. And let's take a look. Let's get a little closer. Here we are at one of the pools with the seashore paspalum grass. You can also see it growing in this pool. It's really all over this entire place. And let's see, you can see the ripples of the fish in the water. I'm not sure my camera is good enough for you to see them. Maybe you can. You can definitely see them hitting the top and rippling the surface. Ooh, there's another one. Ooh, and ooh, we got a damselfly. I don't know if you can see that or not. There is a blue damselfly. And that concludes our virtual Huaka'i. Thank you for joining us today as we explored 3 different Anchialine pool ecosystems on Hawaii Island, each unique in their own way. If you'd like to learn more about Hawaiian coastal ecosystems, please visit wildhawaii.org or our YouTube channel. A hui ho!